What's going on? So I'm here to give a prediction for the upcoming fight that's supposed to take place June 1st in Saudi Arabia between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. This is a undisputed matchup at 175 pounds. We know Artur Beterbiev has three of the belts. He has the WBO, WBC, and IBF World Light Heavyweight Championship belts, and Dmitry Bivol holds the WBA World Light Heavyweight belt. This fight this was a long time coming, man. You don't really hear much publicity about it, I guess, because it just hit the fan, I guess. It's nothing even concrete yet, but allegedly this fight's supposed to take place in June. So I'm going to give a prediction for it anyway. You got two different styles here. These are the two best of the best at 175. Two killers in their own fashion. This is an excellent fight. These dudes are champions for a reason. But let's get into the tail of the tape, man. We got Artur Beterbiev. He stands at 20 wins, no losses and no draws, 20 wins by knockout. So Artur Beterbiev has a 100% knockout ratio. He knocked out everybody since he's been boxing, and he started boxing since in 2013. So he's part of the 100 KO ratio club in boxing, which only has very few. Gary Antoine Russell, he's one of them, and Virgil Ortiz Jr. is another one to come to mind. It might be more, but definitely those two, and Artur Beterbiev is part of that club. All right, he stands at 5'11.5" and has a 73-inch arm reach. He doesn't even look that tall. That's crazy. He's 39 years old, so he's a little on the older side for boxing. But he was also said in the interview, he told us that, he kind of said something that made no sense, but it was kind of like an oxymoron, but not an oxymoron, but kind of like, they asked him, when will he stop fighting? What's too old? And he said he feel like he can still go on. They said, well, what, until your 40s? He was like, I don't know about that. And I'm like, okay. But anyway, so Russian born, but he's a national of Canada now. So let's get into Dmitry Bivol. Okay, let's get into Bivol. So, before we get into Bivol, let's talk about Artur Beterbiev's attributes. Beterbiev, known for his hard hitting, destructive punching power. What makes Artur Beterbiev different from a lot of other fighters is he doesn't really need the distance to really extend his arms out to get the power off, man. His punches look like they're not really doing much, but you can see what those punches are doing to his opponents. It's amazing he generate that kind of power, and a lot of his shots he don't even need the space to do it. That's incredible. Also, Artur Beterbiev, he's a great boxer. He can outbox. He showed that against Joe Smith. Showed remnants of it in his last fight, and other fights too. So I think he's an underrated boxer. He does have IQ in that ring. He knows what he's doing. He's not just going in there plotting people. He's definitely systematically going in there to break you down. All right. And it seems like he has a pretty good chin, too. You've seen him hurt a few times, though. Anthony Yard hurt him. So, you got to have some real serious power to even really hurt Artur Beterbiev. But he was definitely hurt by Yard, but he took it. Yard is another hard puncher with a 90% knockout. 90 and some change. I forgot but Anthony Yard's another very destructive puncher as well. And Beterbiev shook them shits off, and that's why people call him Wolverine. It's crazy. Dude is dangerous, man. So we got Dmitry Bivol. We're about to get into his tail of the tape. Okay. What's interesting about Dmitry Bivol, as he's listed on BoxRec, is they have his name spelled different. His name is spelled with two I's at the end of the R instead of a Y. I don't know why they did that. Maybe that's the official way to spell his name. But Dmitry Bivol stands at 22 wins, no losses, no draws, 11 wins by knockout. So Dmitry Bivol's knockout ratio is exactly half of Artur Beterbiev's at 50%. Now, one would say that's not, he can't punch, but he does has punching power. He's a fucking light heavyweight. But in terms of speaking against other light heavyweights compared to the division, he's not really a big puncher. So Dmitry Bivol is not really known for his punching. He's known for his boxing ability, his defense, his footwork. Very high ring IQ. He has good speed. He can be aggressive when he wants to be, but he's more of a counter puncher, more of a patient mid-range fighter. That's Dmitry Bivol, man. I've seen him hurt. I believe one fight in particular, he was hurt. Like it was the last. There was one round that came to an end. He got hit. Joe Smith hit him and it kind of wobbled him a little bit. I think that's the only fight I've seen him really hurt in. It may have been others, but I don't remember it. But that fight in particular, the Joe Smith fight, he definitely was hurt, but he took it well. Okay. So Bivol stands at 6 foot even with a 72-inch arm reach. So he has the height and the reach over Artur Beterbiev. Correction on that. Actually, Artur Beterbiev, he has slightly longer arms at 1 inch. So Bivol's arms are actually shorter than Beterbiev. So that's rather interesting because when you look at them in the ring, it looks like Bivol is much bigger as far as like dimensions. Like it looks like he's much taller, longer arms, but according to BoxRec, Artur Beterbiev has longer arms. But they're almost the same exact size, like same height, damn near. Only an inch, a half of an inch difference in height, and an inch difference in according to BoxRec in their arm reach. All right, so let's take a look at the last 3 fights of Artur Beterbiev. So Beterbiev's last fight was against, let me see, Callum Smith, which took place a couple of weeks ago, last week actually. Systematically broke down Callum Smith, looked very good. He got clipped with a few shots that kind of like got his attention a little bit too. Nothing to where I seen him hurt against like Anthony Yard. It was different, but he was definitely buzzed a few times against Callum Smith. Nothing too crazy. He weathered it, broke him down, knocked him out 7th round. Very good performance by Beterbiev. Anthony Yard fight was a bit more difficult for Beterbiev in my opinion because Yard was hitting him with some shit, man. So he was feeling a lot of them shots against Anthony Yard, but Beterbiev is a dog. He's one of these dudes that, because the old adage goes, lots of times punchers can't take a punch themselves, and we've seen that a lot in the past. But Artur Beterbiev seems to be a different animal. He could dish it and he could take it. It's a good quality to have. And ultimately, he came out on top and bested Yard to an 8th round knockout. All right, it was a good performance. He showed he's versatile and he can weather the adversity, but it was a little bit more competitive than the Callum Smith fight. Then the Joe Smith Jr. fight, man, I don't even know if I should even include it, but I do anyway because he just smoked him in the 2nd round. He boxed him for like the 1st round and then just poured it on him in the 2nd and just took him out of there. Excellent show of himself, even if it was only 2 rounds. So out of these 3 fights, the performance between him and Yard was the one that he had the most problems in. He looked good against. He had the least problems against Joe Smith, obviously, and the least problems against Callum Smith. Now, Dmitry Bivol, he fought Lyndon Arthur, 12-round decision. Very good fight. He put on the boxing clinic like usual. Whooped on Lyndon Arthur. That was pretty much like a stay busy fight for him in a way. Lyndon Arthur is a decent fighter though, but he's not on the level of a Bivol. Gilberto Ramirez, good fight too. He boxed the hell out of him, whooped him for 12 rounds. Doing what Bivol does best. That's his style. He's a boxer. Okay. Saul Alvarez is the other fight before the Gilberto Ramirez fight. Okay. Before the Gordo fight, and he absolutely smashed Saul Alvarez. Canelo tried his best to hit him with everything he had. It wasn't no effect on Bivol whatsoever. He just embarrassed Canelo for 12 rounds to the decision. So, while none of these came, it's a contrast to Beterbiev, who had all 3 knockouts his last 3 fights, and Bivol had all 3 decisions in his last 3 fights. So, it's amazing these dudes. They're like night and day. Out of these 3 fights, though, the worst performance, or at least the most competitive fight for him, I would have to say, I wouldn't even say the Canelo fight was really as competitive at all. I wouldn't really say it was. I would say, shit, man, he looked good against all these dudes, man. He smoked all of them, almost in the exact same fashion. But the more competitive fight, I think, was Lyndon Arthur, slightly. Just my opinion. Saul put up a good fight. I have to say the Alvarez fight, that was kind of competitive. I got to say the Canelo fight was competitive. So he did the best against Canelo. But he looked good against all of them, man, to be honest. So it's kind of hard, but I think the Canelo fight was his best performance out of the 3. So how did this fight really go? If you see them in the ring, well, it's going to be much of the same. But I think in this fight, both of these dudes are going to have to do what they normally don't do. They're still going to have to do what they do. Beterbiev is known for his relentless pressure that he can put on you. He's known for his destructive power. But Bivol is known for his outboxing abilities, box circles around you, confuse you a little bit. That's what's been winning these dudes these fights, man. So I'm not expecting them to abandon those game plans, but at some point, they're both gonna have to jump out of their box and do the opposite. So you might see Bivol try, at least cautiously, try to plant his feet a little bit, because he did that with Canelo. He planted his feet with Canelo. Maybe he felt like Canelo could hurt him, but it might be different against Beterbiev. You might get Bivol in there moving around the entire 12 rounds to evade Artur Beterbiev, but if he does that, he can fight on his back foot, so he can definitely catch some good shots against Bivol on the back foot. But will that be enough for him to really win the fight, though? So, that's why I said I think Bivol's educated enough. He has the high, his IQ is good enough to let him know, listen, these are the points where I can let off my shots on Beterbiev and get out of dodge. I think he's smart enough to know that. Artur Beterbiev, he's gonna have to probably mix it up as far as try to box a little bit. Don't just come forward as much, because Bivol, he is a lot of his power, meaning a lot of his fight game depends on you coming forward to him. And if Beterbiev presses him a little bit too much, you're gonna take advantage of it and hit him with some combos, back foot combos, sidestepping him. I can see that happening too, frustrating Beterbiev. So Beterbiev probably gonna have to make it like a game of come get me type stuff. He gonna have to play possum a little bit, I guess. and let Bivol come to him, Bivol will come to him. And then Beterbiev gonna have to work off that sometimes. But he's still gonna have to apply that pressure to him to break him up a little bit. He might come out the gate swinging and doing what he did against Callum Smith, trying to assert his dominance early on in the fight. That's a possibility. But he got to be careful doing that with Bivol, because Bivol is gonna make him move, bro. Bivol's gonna make him move around a lot, man. One thing that could go wrong for both of these dudes, if Bivol moves around too much and Beterbiev, in the course of him moving around too much, Beterbiev is chopping at his body a lot, that could slow Bivol down, and then you know what the outcome is going to be ultimately. On the flip, though, I could also see Beterbiev getting tired, but it looked like he got an engine, man. But if Bivol's engine is good and he can make Beterbiev move around a whole lot for the whole fight without getting hit a lot, that could tire out Beterbiev and can let Bivol get a chance to let off some good combinations and score some points to a points decision. That's a possibility. This fight can go either way. Ultimately, though, I'll be real. Most of the time, a boxer will beat a puncher, you know. But I think in this case, it's gonna come down to what Bivol would take. I think that's what it's gonna come down to. What can Bivol take? Can he take that power from Artur Beterbiev? We don't know yet. And I'm thinking, man, somewhere around Bivol's gonna do really good mostly this entire fight. I say Bivol might be outboxing Beterbiev for about at least 4 rounds. I mean, I'll give it 4 rounds, maybe 5. Until Bivol start figuring out some things about him, just angles and timing him a little bit. And unless Bivol can throw off the timing, then if he do that, he can outbox Beterbiev. But I think Beterbiev's IQ, like I said, is very underrated. So I see him figuring out Bivol a bit by 6th round, by round 6. But during the course of the fight, he's getting some shots off. But I think around 6, he's going to start pouring it on Bivol, pressuring him a little bit, making him fight on the inside. That's where he's going to probably try to pin him up on the ropes. And that's where Beterbiev is really dangerous at. He's going to start letting go of them shots to the body. And I think ultimately that's going to start getting to Bivol. And I say, man, round 10 knockout. So I'm going with Bivol catching, wearing down Beterbiev, wearing down Bivol within 6 to like 8 rounds, and probably getting Bivol out of there in round 10 with a body shot. So my prediction for this fight is Artur Beterbiev by 10th round KO of Dmitry Bivol. I just think Bivol is just way too fucking strong, dude. And we've seen him hurt. We've seen Bivol hurt by Joe Smith, who can also punch. Well, we haven't seen him hit by anybody else since then with any real power that was a real threat to him. Not Gordo, not Lyndon Arthur, Sal Alvarez. Yeah, he got power, but at a lower weight class. So I just think Bivol's gonna be Beterbiev is gonna ultimately catch up to him later on in the fight, round 10, and we're gonna have a new undisputed champion in Artur Beterbiev at 175 pounds. Let me know what y'all think. This is your boy Rebel Like Boxing. I'll catch y'all later on the next one, and I'm out.